Hello and welcome to this episode of the Limitless Landscapers podcast. Having missed an episode last week, I thought I would give you an update on life and what's going on, and also things that will relate back to you and your businesses and lives. So, if this interests you, let's go to the show.
As the co-founders of the Landscaper Circle, we help you get more money, time and freedom to become limitless through our experiences as fellow landscapers and our tried and tested methods. If you want help with your marketing, managing or growing your business, you've definitely come to the right place. If you're a landscaper, garden designer or supplier to the industry, then hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get back to the show.
Hello, lovely people. Welcome to this episode of the Limitless Landscapers podcast. We have missed an episode, which has really thrown me out of kilter a bit, but it was very important that I, as an advocate of self-care and not pushing yourself when needs to be, I thought it was important to adhere to that for myself. So essentially, I thought before I start this episode today, I'd give you a brief update about what's been happening and let you know that it's nothing too serious, nothing's happening so far with the business and stuff. We're all still here. I'm still here. TLC is still here. The podcast is still going. It's just that I had my father go into hospital last week. So last Sunday, he went to hospital. So it's been a bit of a stressful time. If you know anything about me, my dad and most of my family live in Cambridge. I'm in Southampton. So when he got rushed into hospital, I then had to drive up and deal with all sorts of exciting stuff and obviously make sure that he was okay, and also just to touch base. The whole family was obviously upset, and he's still in hospital now. He is alive and kind of well, but we think he's got a little bit of a dementia. He may have had a stroke. He definitely fell and he knocked himself unconscious, which obviously means that some changes need to happen to his living. Now, why am I telling you this? You might not care, and that's absolutely fine. But if you were, if you are interested, what I did find is that this experience meant that I had to really reflect on the business. So I'm really lucky that I run my business with Mike and we have a team of people around us. And I'm really lucky to have a VA in TLC that will do the behind the scenes stuff as and when I need her to. So that's all fantastic. I'm super grateful for it. However, there's a certain level of headspace you need to be in order to create content, in order to really do any type of focused action on the business. And unfortunately, last week, with that happening to my dad, it just threw a massive curveball. And what I noticed was that I couldn't concentrate on anything. So my focus really dropped off because all I felt like I was doing was having phone calls with the hospital, phone calls with my nan, phone calls with my brother, phone calls with my cousin, updating my mum. And essentially, it just was super pressured. Being the eldest child of my father meant that, a lot of the responsibility and pressure tends to fall on my shoulders. And this has just led to me, I had to just say, stop. I can't, social media doesn't matter. I'm a huge advocate of social media for business. I'm hugely, if you've seen anything of what I profess over at the Landscaper Circle, it's all about consistency, brand awareness, keeping out there, talking to your community, building relationships. And I'm all for that. But when something happens out of the blue like that, and it takes all of your capacity to deal with it, then I'm all for saying, screw it, give it a break and take a breath and get everything together before you come back. So that's kind of what I did. I made the decision not to record the podcast. I was going to record it when I was in Cambridge, but I was just physically and emotionally drained at that point. It was also pretty distressing to see my dad because he's got some sort of dementia which is coming on. So he was talking absolute gobbledygook at one point, and then in the next phase, talking fine, but not really understanding what has happened. So it's been been a bit of an emotional roller coaster. And I just thought to myself, why am I forcing myself to record a podcast? Why am I going to sit down and spend time on social media posts when actually I could just spend time with my dad, sorting out his life, which needs to happen, spending time with the family in order to help manage my dad's situation, etc. And ultimately, when I came home, because I was only gone a day or two, when I came back, I wanted to make sure the kids didn't feel like anything major had happened. So I had to rush off when they were at school, so I didn't get to say goodbye. Didn't like that feeling at all. And then when I got back, I wanted to just get on with life as normal. So they didn't feel unsettled, they didn't feel worried, and all of the above, really. So my decision was just to press pause on everything last week. So there was no social posts going out on my landscaping business. So you won't have seen anything there. There was nothing going out on TLC, and there was no podcasts. I did still have one-to-one calls with clients, and I still did group coaching and all of the other good stuff that I've been doing in my business. And we went to the APL cluster meeting, myself and Mike met with other people in the area, so other landscapers, designers. It was great. But again, it was so draining because it's putting on that show, putting on that face and pretending everything's fine when really it's not. And that's really draining to try and keep up. So last week was essentially a write-off. And now why I'm sharing it with you is we all can have situations which make you feel unfocused, unmotivated, emotionally drained, exhausted. You can feel like it's going to ruin everything. You can start to feel a bit guilty that you haven't done anything. You can start to feel like you're falling behind. And I just want to remind you that it doesn't matter. Like, I've kind of accepted that last week was a write-off, but now the fact is, now I've had some time to reflect. I've had some time to put boundaries in place. Now, if you want to talk about boundaries, there's an entire episode dedicated to boundaries within the podcast, within the 156 episodes of this podcast. So you might want to check that out if you're struggling with boundaries. But essentially, I've put the boundaries in place. I've decided what I'm going to be focused on this coming week. And what I essentially did was, because I felt there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done in both businesses, plus obviously personal life. My dad's still in hospital. I'm still going to have to deal with the phone calls and managing that. However, I've made the decision that I'm not going to go straight back up there for another week or so, because I've decided that next week is going to be a really focused week for me, my family, and my business, and on the businesses, really. So I've mapped out, in order to feel like planned and that I'm not going to go off piste, I've mapped out what are the next key actions in each business. So what's the next key actions that I'm working on with Aura Landscapes, and what do I need to do to achieve them? And the same in TLC. So I've kind of like put the next steps down. So the next rung of the ladder, instead of thinking, oh, I've got a million things to do, which we all must feel, especially if you've taken any time off. And instead of seeing it as a huge hill to climb or mountain to climb, whatever you want to call it, I've kind of seen it as just a step. So next week, I'm just going to take one step in TLC and one step in Aura. And then I'm going to have to see how the week goes, how family life is with the dad, and see how he is, and see if what I'm required to do there. But essentially, I wanted to share it with you because I didn't want you to think that things have gone down. It's just purely personal family matter, but actually it can happen to any of us at any time. And I just want you to know that if you have gone through anything, or are going through something like this, which has taken your focus off your business, just do not feel guilty about it. I have managed to maintain the fact that it is what it is. I've just had to compartmentalize this week, forget this week, and move forward. Otherwise, you can beat yourself up that you didn't do X, Y, and Z. And I did feel really guilty about not creating a podcast. It's just not really what I like to do. And it's only happened, a couple of times in the whole time we've been running. But I just did not feel in the right headspace. Now, the other thing I wanted to flag in this instance, which has reminded me, is to ask for help. I find it very difficult to ask for help. Maybe you do too. but I have had to ask for help in many different ways this week just to help support myself, support my dad, and get the ball rolling on all the things that have to be done. So I have relied on other people a little bit more, which doesn't come naturally to me. However, it is what it is, and I just had to get it done. So asking for help is key, especially if you are in this sort of situation, I suppose. And also making people aware, because as you all know, I'm also on a quest to become a bodybuilder. I'm looking to step on stage next year. It feels far away now, but I'm sure as we get to the end of this year, it's going to feel very, very close and very, very scary. And all of this, like, up and down of emotions, has impacted on how I have trained, how I've eaten, how well or not I have slept, the stress levels, etc. So it's impacted on my training, and I'm currently in an improvement season, so I'm trying to gain as much muscle as possible, and that requires eating a lot. However, when you're stressed, it's kind of the last thing on your mind. I was traveling up and down the motorway, so kind of steps weren't there. I was too exhausted to go to the gym, so I gave myself a few extra rest days this week. And I didn't beat myself up. I didn't get down about it, but I informed my coach just to let her know what was going on. Same with my business coach, because I was a bit radio silent there as well. But I'm just here to say you need to ask for the support and also tell your biggest supporters. So if you have a business coach and you're going through some personal issues and you maybe feel embarrassed that you haven't done the actions that you were told to do, or advised to do, or you'd agreed a plan, you need to let people know, and you need to ask for the support you need as you're going through it. That's a really big important thing for me. And we had group coaching at the beginning of this week, and it was lovely. I got to meet a new member in TLC, and she was scared to turn up initially. She's been a member for a couple of months, and she's never attended a group coaching session, and she emailed me before just to say she was a little apprehensive. And when she came on, I just tried to make her feel happy, less apprehensive, not worried. And it was a really lovely session with the guys that attended. And I was able to support her and give her guidance. And it was just really nice. And you know, don't know where I was going with that, apart from the fact that we are here to support you, or I am here as TLC to support you guys. So if you do need extra support in your business, then do get in touch at the Landscaper Circle, because that's a big, huge part of what we do. And also, having gone through all this, I'm totally glad I've got the support I need around me and for my business, as well as obviously my goals and stuff. We're still moving forward. What else can I say about this week? It's been a whirlwind kind of a week. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, I spoke to my dad this evening on FaceTime, and my brother. So that was good to just catch up with him, to let him know that I'm still here. I might be 150 miles away, but I'm still around and I'm still checking in. So that was nice. But yeah, so I am now back to normal proceedings. You will see normal activity commence. So there'll be lots of stuff going out in the coming weeks of the changes that I'm going to be making to TLC. And it's quite apt really, because we're going into more full support mode. So things are going to be changing, and I'm going to be offering a more supportive role for you in your landscaping business. So keep your eyes peeled for more information. I will be contacting members separately and also emailing our community. If you're on an email list of mine, you'll be finding out first before everything is announced in full. However, it's not going to be imminent, because as we all know, I'm a week behind schedule of everything. And I am not about to stay up till 3, 4, 5 in the morning to get stuff done, because I do not believe in hustle. And also, it's really not good to let go of your self-care. So part of this week that I've done is although I gave myself some rest sessions from the gym, I've also made sure I've continued to go to the gym in some capacity. I've met friends for just coffee and a catch up. I've utilized my hot tub. What a joy that has been. I'm super grateful that I get to have that at my leisure at home. And I've been trying to get more sleep, because that is the way to, feeling better, feeling more healthy. and actually you grow muscles in your sleep. So I need to get more and more sleep, to be honest. That's the new plan. Get more sleep. But yeah, if you've been struggling or anything, I hope, this just goes to show you're not alone. Things happen to everybody. And if you need to take a break, whether that's from podcasting, social, marketing, sales, or just need to take a break and go and lay down 5 minutes, do it. The world will not end, trust me. Just make sure you've got your support around you and you tell people, because it's all too easy when people phone you or you bump into them and they say, "Are you okay?" And you say, "Yeah." And you're not okay at all, not one bit. You just have to be more open with people and accept the support with love. And that's all I'm here to remind you of today. TLC and the podcast here to support you. And I'm sorry I missed an episode last week. Please do check out the other 156 episodes we've created. I'm sure one of them will fit your situation as you are in now. How is business going? That's another thing I want to ask you guys. How's business going? Because randomly, we have found inquiries have picked up a bit. So we've got a few jobs to see at the beginning of next week, and we saw a couple this week, which was great. And there are still people out there looking to spend. I think, if there's something I can pass on to you, it's don't believe all the doom and gloom around us. It's not all doom and gloom. There is good stuff out there. There are really good clients out there if you can tap into them, and if you can connect with them is the most important, because I think if you connect with people, they will want to work with you. And it's about keeping your energy high vibe. We live in a really abundant world, if you want to see it that way, but so often we get pulled to live in the lack. We get conditioned from a young age that there's not enough for anybody of anything. So we're constantly in a lack mindset, and that's just not true. Well, it is if that's how you cultivate your mindset, but I prefer to cultivate mine in the positive. And that means practicing gratitude. That means remembering all the great stuff that has happened, that continues to happen, and why you get to do things. So lots of interesting things are cropping up for me at the moment. And this whole thing with my dad, it's weirdly, he's a nicer person having this, I'll call it dementia. He hasn't been officially diagnosed yet, but in this frame of mind than he was when he hardly spoke and was angry at everything and everybody. So in a weird way, I'm actually enjoying talking to him now, even though what he's saying doesn't make total sense, because he's just in a happier place. He just seems happier, calmer, not angry. So maybe this was always meant to happen. I don't know. It's just interesting. And yeah, it makes you reconnect with people that you maybe don't connect with enough. It certainly made me start reflecting on that, and who you want to keep in contact with and keep connected with, and who really you don't. But yeah, I say all this with love, with gratitude, and I hope you are going to have a fantastic week. And I will be back next week on the next episode of the Limitless Landscapers podcast. Bye, guys.